Welcome, everyone, to the Pembroke Pines City Commission meeting of January 15th, 2025. And allow me to be the very last to wish you a Happy New Year. I hear there's an expiration date beyond which that's simply not appropriate. So, but hopefully not. Happy New Year to everyone. We got a great year ahead, and we're looking very forward to it. Sad news of what's going on in Los Angeles with these fires, and we wish them tremendous success. It's a horrible situation, exacerbated by winds the likes of which they've never seen before, and they've lost a lot of property, and they've lost some lives, and our hearts go out to all of the first responders, the firefighters, everyone who's pitching in to help neighbors and bringing families into their own homes who are displaced, the Red Cross people, the thousands and thousands who have flocked to be of assistance to that beautiful, great, and incredibly large city. And we wish them well, and they are very much in our thoughts. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Good.
I am here.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Here.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Here.
Commissioner Schwartz.
Here.
Mayor Castillo.
Here.
City Manager Dodge. Here. City Attorney Gorin.
I'm here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. To honor America, we have Sophia Diaz, who is with, she's a student at Broward Virtual School. She is 16 years old, and she is a resident of Pembroke Pines. And she will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll ask you to remain standing as she performs our national anthem. Sophia?
I pledge allegiance to the flag, to the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at our twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Wow. Sophia Diaz, you make us proud. Thank you so very, very much. Gosh, I love this city. When we see young people from our own community coming forward and performing that way, it's just incredible. Thank you very, very much. What a great way to start the year. Announcements of items to be pulled from the agenda?
Nothing, Mayor.
Thank you very much. We have two presentations today, I believe, of the winners of the one. District 4 Natalie Belmonte Great Yard Awards for December 2024. Commissioner Hernandez, will you please join me?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, we're proud to announce the winner of the District 4 Great Yards Award for this past month, the Lozano family and the Encantada community. Their yard is just absolutely fantastic. They've done a phenomenal job. Very few people are as proud as you are of your yard, I know it. So just take a quick peek at these folks up here, these pictures up here. They really don't even do it justice. We're really proud of this community and the Lozano family. So congratulations on your Great Yard Award.
Fantastic. So I have to ask you, because whenever we have the Natalie Belmonte Award, I always ask the same question, because we have people who are proud to be in Pembroke Pines. And they show it, not just in the way they operate with each other in the community, but also in the way that they live. What is your secret?
The secret is I'm very picky, number one, to start off. And number two, I've always loved to keep my yard in my house in great shape. And I'm very proud of where I live. And because I'm proud, I try to do the best that I can. Wow. So I thank the city for nominating me for this award.
Wow. You didn't just get nominated, you won the thing.
Yes.
So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner?
And thank you for what you do in Encantada. It's a beautiful community. Ironically, we have some of your neighbors that are here for other reasons tonight, Nelson and others. But I wanted to thank you because you set an example for all of your neighbors. It is a beautiful community. I'm in there often, but when they don't want to one-up you, but they want to try to look as good as your yard. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's take a photo. You get to hold that.
Okay.
Let's turn this.
Right, there we go.
He gets to hold the Home Depot 50. Is it $50? $50 gives you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Felicidades. Okay, items at the request of the public. I have 3 speakers signed up. The first will be Al Salvi. The clerk will give you a mic.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Salvi, your name and your address for the record,
My name is
please.
Al Salvi. My address is 1318 Southwest 172nd Terrace, Pembroke Pines, Silver Lakes Community.
Thank you, sir. You're recognized.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm here to talk today about parking. I know there was an ordinance just passed January 1st, and I'm going to hopefully try to give you an idea what it's like to be in a situation where a person with no mobility has to deal with, because a lot of people don't relate to what it's like. But the ordinance says that most vehicles now cannot park on non-paved roads. It can't be no gravel, no swell. And what happens is that people like myself, we have vans with ramps. And if we're not allowed to park on the swell, for example, let's say in Pines on the east side or somewhere, we could park on the street. What happens is if we drop the ramp, we need an 8-foot clearance to be able to get out with the ramp, and then another 2 feet to 4 feet to be able to make the turn around the ramp with a power chair. Now, I myself am a manual chair, so I'm very maneuverable, but a person with a power chair needs a lot of space to get out. So if you're parking in the street and not allowed to park on the swell, example, or gravel, then I got to drop the ramp in the middle of the street. And, there's a couple of things I want to point out here on the accessibility guidelines for pedestrian facilities of public right-of-way, which is being published now because it's being passed by the Access Board, all right? It says that we cannot hamper traveling, and I can read it verbatim what it says here. I apologize.
Take your time.
Yeah, we cannot hamper or block oncoming traffic. So if we drop the ramp in the middle of the street, for example, we're on the street and not on the swell or on the gravel area, by the time we drop the ramp and we need 8 feet across, we're going to be right in the middle of the street. We can get hit by a car, or people will just get pissed off because they're just watching us come out of the car. So it's really frustrating to us. So that's something that I would really like to consider as an amendment, to allow people with disabilities to make that exception, at least in the Pines area, when it comes to on-street parking. When it comes to the new ordinance of January 1st, 2025, because that's something that I know it's going to be a problem for anyone that wants to visit Pines and has to park on the street with a ramp and a van. So that's something I would ask to consider it. On the second note on parking, I live in Silver Lakes. Silver Lakes has taken an all-or-none approach. I was talking to a couple of the fire officers, and it's an all-or-none approach, which means that we have no exception. We cannot park on the street or the swell at all, which presents a problem for me as a homeowner because I haven't had a visitor in 10 years with a disability come to my home. And as a resident taxpayer, I should have the same right like anybody else to be able to have visitors come and be able to park. But since they have ramps with vans, they can't park on the street because they'll get ticketed by FPI. And if they get 3 tickets, they get towed. And I'm not going to have my friends' cars get towed with disabilities. So the problem I have is I would like to see, I know that there's maybe no jurisdiction from this commission, but you know, some type of guidance or some type of something I can do apart from going to the master board, which I've already done. I've exhausted that, and there's 0 exceptions to that rule. And we're following the same rules as Miramar. We're not Miramar, we're Pembroke Pines, different city, but yeah, we have to follow Miramar's rules because it's enforced in Miramar and Silver Lakes, and now it's being enforced in Silver Lakes in Pembroke Pines, which is a different ordinance. So
Yes,
if you
sir,
guys
I want
can
to
assist me.
thank you for coming forward.
Thanks,
and
Council.
for talking and for telling us about this. It's obviously a very important issue to you, but it's also important to the community. Mr. Dodge, if we can ask the police chief if he could direct a senior staff member to work with Mr. Salvi on his parking concerns. If the police chief could do that. And I see Deputy Chief Bermudez is nodding his head. Deputy Chief Bermudez will be your contact on this parking issue, and we want to get our arms around it. I remember years ago, Community on Patrol used to do some of the enforcement for the handicapped parking spaces in the city. But at any rate, why don't we connect you to Deputy Chief Bermudez, and we want to see an improvement just like you do.
Yeah,
and,
I just want to have all inclusion for everyone, not just, you know, able-bodied folks. It should be for everyone, including
Yes,
people
sir.
with disabilities, you know?
Yes, sir, and we thank you for coming
No,
forward.
thank you. And just the last note, if anybody wants to quote me, 316 on the Florida statute 1964 is the statute where it says that we're allowed to park 4 hours on the street parking.
Thank you
Thank
very,
you.
very much. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. The next speaker will be Michael Kleiger. He left? He's squared away. Okay. The next speaker will be Felipe Ventura. Yeah. There's a button there that says speak. You're on.
Okay, thank you. So I've been seeing a lot of conversations related to the budgeting and the bond and everything else that's been going on. And my feel of it is this is a...
Oh, I'm sorry. Your name and address for the record, please.
Felipe Ventura, 20330 Northwest 2nd Street, Pembroke Pines, Florida. Chapel Trail, Pasadena. Anyways, my main concern is that I'm putting my faith in you guys. This city is where I've raised 5 sons. And the main concern that we have is that we keep it looking the way it is and we keep it where it needs to be. If I have to spend an extra $80, $90 a year, whatever that number may be, and you're spending it responsibly and it's getting us where we need to be, then so be it. But let's make sure that we continue to earn the trust of everyone. You know, let's do it right, and I think you guys are doing it, and I'm putting my faith in you, but I definitely would like to see it done because I don't want the city to turn into some other cities, which we won't mention, that get to a point where you just can't agree on anything and it gets gridlocked, and we're concerned about obviously for people that can't afford it, so people that are complaining about it, and the best way to prove to them is showing them and being fully transparent, and I think that that's something that all of you have done and should continue to do. The main premises behind my speech today is basically let you know I'm going around and I'm listening and I'm watching, you know, and I'm happy with what's being done. But I definitely want to see it continue because this city, I mean, we do need our parks redone. We do need many things that have been needed, especially with the water. You know how I feel about the water situation, the water plants. That's long overdue. And if this is what it's going to get it done, then let's do it. Let's make sure it happens, and you have my trust. Let's just try to get this done and do it the right way.
Thank you very much for your testimony. I just want to say that tomorrow I will be flying to Washington to represent the city at the U.S. Conference of Mayors. During that time, I'll be also talking to people at the Capitol about city issues. And when I get back on Sunday, for the following week and through the next several weeks, we will initially schedule 10 town hall meetings to talk about this particular issue and prepare people informationally so that they can cast an informed vote on March 11th.
Okay.
Staff will be making presentations on the projects, and they are currently organizing to do all of that. We feel that it's absolutely possible to ensure that voters will have everything that they need in order to cast an informed vote on March 11th. There's plenty of time to make sure that they know, particularly since these are the issues that they themselves told us they wanted us to address. And so we're organizing it. There will be no advocacy whatsoever at any of these official city meetings. They will be run in an organized and respectful manner, and information will be provided. Residents have a right to ask questions. There will be answers to the questions directly from the professional staff, but it's not a forum for debate. It's not a forum for political grandstanding. It is about providing information to the residents so that they can cast an informed vote on March 11th. And we will continue to act in an appropriate and professional manner in all of our public dealings with respect to this matter and every other. And I appreciate you taking the time to come forward. And if, beyond the 10 initial town hall meetings, if there are communities that want us to come and see them, we're happy to do it. We're happy to go to Chapel Trail. We're happy to go to Town Gate. We're happy to go anywhere that we're invited or asked to be there. We will go, and we will make a presentation.
And let me ask you something now that we're on the subject of the water, that I brought that up. What upgrades specifically, do we have a little bit more details as to, because I know one of the things that was most concerning for West Pembroke Pines was as it travels further on the west side, the water really gets heavy with chlorine. And we were talking about a sub-plant, I believe, some time ago. And I don't know where we're at with all of that.
The water plant and the bond issue have nothing to do with one another. However, and that's important to say because there's been some confusion about that.
Okay.
The bond issue has nothing whatsoever to do with the water plant. They have their own strategic plan and their own source of funding. There is a consultant report that is still in progress. Okay. It should be coming in shortly. And once it comes in, it will have recommendations. We will have our discussions about water, and those are important discussions that we will have that have nothing to do with the bond issue.
Agreed.
However, this is a city that has to multitask. We can't do it. We can't just do one thing at a time. You can't run a city of our magnitude that way. So there are many things that are happening at once, and we will sit down and we will have that conversation, and we will make sure that residents are invited. We want them to know. We want them to be involved in it. We want to hear what they have to say. But we will make sure that every faucet that opens gets crystal clean, absolutely pure, totally compliant water. And that is our responsibility, and it is our promise to every resident and every business in the city. So thank you.
All right, thank you.
That information is coming shortly.
Okay.
That concludes public comment. I would like to turn to Vice Mayor to talk about our friend Gloria Rosenberg, who was a volunteer for the city of Pembroke Pines for many, many years. And deep into her 90s, I believe, she passed on. And we are very, very sorry to see her go. What a beautiful person she was, so giving, so always engaged, bubbly, always happy. You liked being around her. And she was a worker, and she was all about doing things for other people. And we will really, really miss Gloria, and we were very thankful to her for all of her contributions to our city. Vice Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You said almost everything, so. But yes, Gloria Rosenberg she was a resident of the Hollybrook community for many, many years. She was a volunteer here at City Hall. She was a volunteer with the police department doing many, many things. She spent a lot of time visiting our Memorial Park because her husband has a brick laid there over at our Memorial Park, and she used to visit him every day there. And she also used to visit with the Ninninger Center, which is the Veterans Nursing Home. And she had made a sachet. She did a lot of knitting for a lot of folks. And if you knew Gloria, you probably own knitting from her. But she would make a sachet for every person at the Ninninger Center in their wheelchairs. And so she's going to be very, very missed, as the mayor said. And we look forward to an opportunity here in the near term to memorialize her in a more proper way. Mr. Mayor, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. She'll be very missed. Okay. Commission Auditor report.
None, Mayor.
Appeals of the Board of Adjustment.
None, Mayor.
Announcement of board and committee appointments. Commissioner Hernandez, you're recognized.
Okay, good evening. It's really a privilege to be appointing Nelson Alloy. Nelson, if you could come up when you get a chance. I don't know if there's a title for longest serving HOA executive board member in District 4, but he might hold it.
Yeah.
Who is it? I'm sorry. Brave. Braver than us. Nelson is a resident of Encantada in District 4. He has served in multiple capacities for their HOA. He's a lifelong, career-long, I should say, law enforcement official. I did not meet him in Miami-Dade County. I met him here as a member of the Budget Advisory Board to then Commissioner Castillo when he was still District 4 Commissioner. A man of integrity, someone who has protected his community. I'll let him talk about where he is now after his retirement from Miami-Dade PD, but it's a privilege and I'm thankful that he accepted my invitation to join the Planning and Zoning Board.
Mr. Lloyd?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. First of all, thank you very much, Commissioner Hernandez. It's a pleasure and honor, privilege to be considered. I've been living in Pembroke Pines, this great city. This April will make 30 years. I've been living in Encantada. This year will make 26 years, and I've been on the board of directors for 22 years as vice president and as president. And Mr. Danny Lozano was also on the board with me many years ago, especially when we started. So thank you for your service when you were there with us. This is a great city. When I moved here in 1995, it was a different city. It's growing. A lot of people don't like to see the growth. The growth is good. And I'm honored with this appointment because smart growth is what I believe the city needs, and I feel honored to be able to participate in that capacity. So again, thank you very much for the opportunity. Truly appreciate it. And I will do my best to make you all proud. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your service. Okay. Tonight's consent agenda consists of items 1 through 10. What's your pleasure?
Mayor, I think we had an add-on because I had one
Was
more
there
point.
another one? I'm sorry.
Yes, Mayor, one more item.
It wasn't on the,
It's on the
it's not on
addendum.
the agenda.
It-
Okay.
It's
Is
in
this
Denham.
yours?
And
Oh,
Mayor,
there's one more?
Mayor, after the appointment, let's have a quick comment, quick question about boards. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, you can come. I'm sorry.
Oh, my goodness.
She asked if she could bring her child, and we said yes. She can say hi if she'd like.
Say hi.
Hi. Hi.
And I'll let, again, the appointee speak mostly for herself, but Erica Creighton, who lives in Pasadena, also in District 4, actually a chemical engineer, speaking of water and every environmental aspect, as her profession. I believe her husband also is a chemical engineer. So their combined SAT score is probably like 50,000 points. Erica reached out to me, and we spoke for what was supposed to be 15 minutes, and it turned to a longer conversation. I'm very happy that she's agreed to be appointed to the Environmental Advisory Board, but also the fact is that we have residents in District 4, as we do in all districts, but particularly as a new commissioner, I appreciate that she's willing to step up, take time away from her personal obligations, and as a mom and wife to serve. Erica, if you had any comments.
Yeah. I just want to say good evening, Mayor and Commissioner. I'm really, truly honored to be here before you guys. As you guys talked earlier about multitasking, that is something I live and do day in and day out. It is very important to me as part of being a resident of Broward since 2018 and most recently moving to Pembroke Pines in 2023. So I've got chemical engineering background, so that's a lot of where I'm going to bring some different ideas, right? Problem solving is what I've said and done for corporate America since 2010. So I've worked in many large corporations to go ahead and figure out cost-effective ways, looking at the data and figuring out how can we solve some difficult issues, all while raising 2 children. And then I've got an engineer as a husband as well, so it makes things very exciting. So.
Fantastic. We look so very, very forward to your service. Thank you so very much, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Say thank you.
Okay, consent agenda.
Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem. Mayor and colleagues, we spent a tremendous amount of time working towards getting a budget advisory board seated for quorum purposes. I do not believe that we have enough, Madam Clerk, in order to conduct a quorum because of the lack of appointments for that board. We are now at the close of fiscal Q4. We had all agreed that we would do our absolute best to make sure that the appointments were done by December. I was hoping that we would have it completed by this meeting. So there are residents who have been appointed. They're reaching out to me wanting to start the work, especially with the upcoming financial questions that they have. So if we can do our absolute best to get the appointments completed as soon as possible so that these good folks can get to work, I would appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Today's consent agenda consists of my items 1 through 10. What's your pleasure? No polls for Vice Mayor.
Number 10 for me.
Number 10 for Commissioner Rodriguez. Any others? Any from the public? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for items 1 through 9, please. So moved by the Vice Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hernandez. Any discussion? Any from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 10, Commissioner Rodriguez.
I'm in support of the item.
You have to
Oh,
read it
sorry,
first.
read it. Okay. Motion to approve the First Amendment to the city's master services agreement with OpenGov to purchase OpenGov's budgeting and planning software suite, which includes their community feedback, dashboards, financial integration, online budget book, reporting and analytics, story builder, and transparency features for an amount not to exceed $136,202.40 for the period through September 30th, 2026, pursuant of the Section 35.18C7 of the city's Code of Ordinances.
Is there a second? Second. Second by the Vice Mayor. Commissioner, you're recognized.
I'm in support of the item. I just wanted to highlight just how good this tool will hopefully be to us. I spoke to our finance director, kind of went through some of the examples. I don't know if you guys had a chance to click through some of the websites that they attached at the end, and it seems like a really great opportunity for us to create a better transparency with our residents regarding our budget. And we've always published our budget, but this one makes it a lot more interactive. It helps people understand it. The breakdown's a little bit better of each department, and even just looking through what is a possibility with the other cities and the, I believe, other counties that use this system. I really look forward to it. So just kudos to our finance department for pulling this out and using this kind of system as we're innovating and making sure we put transparency at the forefront, especially in
something as important as our budget.
Okay, thank you so very much for that. It certainly looks like a great tool for the city of Pembroke Pines. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none. Any from the public? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show passes unanimously. City Attorney, first ordinance readings.
Thank you,
Number
Mayor and
11.
Commissioner, if you will. Item number 11 and item number 12 run together, but for the purpose of the record, I'm going to read them into the record individually. They require separate action. To the extent I can respond to questions not otherwise provided for in answers in the agenda book, I'm happy to respond on each item directly.
Go right ahead.
For the record, then, Mayor and Commission, item number 11 is a motion to pass proposed ordinance number 2025-02 on first reading. Proposed ordinance number 2025-02 is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pembroke Pines, Florida, approving and authorizing the proper city officials to execute the Third Amendment to the agreement to enter into a sub-sublease with H.G. Pines LLC, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Item number 11 on the floor, Mayor and Commissioner.
Is there a motion? Moved by Commissioner Rodriguez. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Hernandez. Any discussion?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz, you're recognized.
I see Mr. Elliot White here on the item. I have a few questions.
Can you come forward, please, and identify yourself? There's a button there that says speak. You're on.
Elliot White, 35 Pearl Road, Saugus, Massachusetts.
Commissioner, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. White. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Good to see you.
It's good to see you face to face. We've had several conversations over the last several weeks, have we not?
We have.
The project that you are looking at moving forward with, is this affordable housing, workforce housing, or a combination of both?
I would say it's predominantly workforce housing.
And Mr. White, your organization has done its due diligence in the attempt to satisfy some future tax revenue implications of the project over the last several weeks, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And you've worked with the city administration and the city attorney to try to advance these initiatives so that would be mutually beneficial to both the city of Pembroke Pines and your organization. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Are we at a standstill with your ability to move forward?
I don't know that a standstill is correct. There are still some paths available to us to achieve the exemption. We've tried a number of different approaches with the help of city staff. Excellent teams have been working on it. It has been more challenging, I think, than we initially anticipated, but I don't know that it's fair to categorize it as a standstill where we are unable to move forward.
Fair enough, and we discussed that that question that I was going to pose. So can we say that that the attempts there's still some unknowns, and at this point, it's going to require the state of Florida to make that determination on whether or not you can move forward at full purchase price. Is that fair?
Well, to move forward at the full purchase price, we would need a exemption from ad valorem taxes. There are several paths available. One does involve support from the Florida Housing Finance Commission.
Okay. Colleagues, I've spoken with the manager, I've spoken with the city attorney, I've spoken to Mr. White, I've spoken with folks who may be able to move things along at the state level. And this was a working Christmas for me in trying to make sure that we can get to this possibility of actually closing the deal before the 28th of this month. In my view, it does not appear that a 60-day extension would achieve anything different because we don't have control over the outcome. I believe that the best course of action would to not have a contract on the table at the time that our folks in Tallahassee tried to get a 20-year construction exemption around this project. I believe having this on the table now would hurt the ability for us to move forward with Tallahassee's agency in its review. Certainly, it is not because of a lack of effort or ability of either party to get this thing through. My greater concern is price reduction. We have a fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers. And there is certainly from Mr. White's side the willingness and wanting to provide a full purchase price that we entered into now 3-4 months ago. But right now we can't do that. As such, I think the best way forward is not to have any more delay. Give the folks that we hire in Tallahassee to advocate on our behalf. This is state-owned property. This is workforce housing. But because it's more than the amount of years of construction that the current agency will allow, we are at a standstill. So it's going to take the governor's office to make an exception on state property to get this thing through. I would recommend that we not extend this agreement at this time. Get what we have in hand, which is a definitive answer. If Mr. White's organization were to come forward with a number much less than the $90 million, taxpayers may see it as what would be a reason for them to seek an exemption in the future because the property would be owned. And Mr. White and I spoke about this because I didn't want to blindside him with it. But we have a fiduciary responsibility on our side, and Mr. White has a responsibility to his organization. And we're trying to achieve the same goal, which is the ability to provide workforce housing in the city of Pembroke Pines that's affordable, that is respectable, that's respectable, that the quality of life of those who live there are at the highest possible standard. So when I spoke to Mr. White yesterday, I said if anything changes between our conversation and the moment that I have to take a vote that makes it possible for us to move forward, I would be a yes on this item. But because there's no new information, I need to vote no.
Okay. I appreciate that that you've given this some thought, and I want to say this respectfully, but I don't agree with a word you just said, and I'll tell you why. We have a deal that's on the table. There's a wrinkle in the deal. This is going to require a trip to Tallahassee. The manager and I have been talking about doing that together with our friend and some others. Some phone calls have already been made. However, we would not have the standing to even meet with the people who we need to meet with if there wasn't a pending contract. They wouldn't even meet with us. That's the way the world of housing works. The Housing Finance Agency at the state won't meet with people who don't have a deal on the table. It's a waste of their time. So I think that what we should do is not give up on things and just be a little bit patient. It is not easy to do the kind of work that our potential partner does, or that the city does, or that the state does. And I think that the city attorney, and if you and the city manager disagree, you tell me. But I think that providing a little extra time during which we can figure out a way to come back might be a better deal than pulling a premature plug on something simply because it encountered a wrinkle. Mr. Manager, do you disagree? Or?
I agree, and it is my recommendation that this contract be extended for the 60 days as recommended. We spent a lot of time, and to throw it away at this time, I think would be
Pointless.
a waste.
Okay. Mr. City Attorney, do you concur?
There's no, no legal objection, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Anything further on this item?
Mr. Mayor, I need to speak then.
Yes, sir, Vice Mayor, and then we'll go to Commissioner Rodriguez.
So,
Yes, sir, go
yeah,
ahead.
I hear and understand all the different aspects of this, and, thank you, Commissioner Schwartz, for, your position. Mr. Mayor, thank you for your position. I did have extensive conversation with both the city manager and the city attorney, and I would like to remind my colleagues that when this deal first came before us, I was not in agreement with this because it does provide a very essential, affordable housing solution for at least within a 3 to 5 mile radius of that building. I was convinced at the time that, if we were able to make the deal at the $90 million level, there would be, and we all agreed that there would be a $30 million availability for affordable housing so that we could leverage that loss of affordable housing. My conversations lately have not given me a comfort level that we're going to succeed in the deal that was originally struck. I'm not opposed to discontinuing and going out to bid. This deal was solicited in a way that was supposed to be good, but we continue to have discussions, and every time we have another discussion, it seems like we accept a little less, and I'm not at that point. And I want to make my vote will send a very loud message today. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else? Commissioner Rodriguez?
Just a point to Commissioner Good. I don't know, I'm not understanding what you mean by a little bit less, because the contract proposal for what we have at the moment is still at the 90 million. Correct?
I'll let the staff answer.
Is that correct, Steph?
Mr. Mayor, if I can, I'm sorry, Chair.
Yes.
If you approve the ordinance on first and second reading this evening, the contract price of $90 million has been retained and is not modified in any way. The only item within the document that's being extended is the inspection period. That runs until the 28th of January, and if the ordinances are approved this evening on first and second reading, that one item would be extended through the end of March of this year.
So
60 days.
Okay. So from my perspective, I think giving it a little bit more time, especially with the special session that was called up in Tallahassee starting on the 27th, gives us some time where everyone's all in one place, an extra opportunity to kind of battle this out a little bit more. I agree with you that the additional amount that we were getting on that 90 million would supplement what your concerns. So I agree with you on that, but I also know that when we first looked at it, I felt comfortable with it because the structure that they're going to be using to keep those at affordable pricing and or workforce pricing or whatever it may be was still in the contract, and I don't think we've really given that up, and I don't feel comfortable giving those numbers up. But I think giving them an opportunity in the special session to work things out doesn't really cost us anything, and then after that we can reevaluate when the numbers, if they change. But right now we're still looking at the same thing, so I don't think we're really getting anything less at the moment.
Okay. Anything else?
I just wanted to thank Mr. White and the manager. And Vice Mayor, I hear you. I seconded your motion, especially the allocation of the profit from the sale. And I believe we mentioned workforce and affordable housing, future development of that, if I'm not mistaken. If I misstate your motion, I'm sorry, but I know I seconded it. I'm not opposed to an extension. I just want to see us land the plane at some point.
I agree.
I'm okay with an extension at this point, but we got to land the plane. We're not going to have a meeting with Governor DeSantis on this. Not happening. He's got many things on his plate, notwithstanding what Mayor Castillo mentioned on the floor of housing, which I'm not an expert in, he's the housing expert, okay. But in general, however you got to work it out, I hope we do this in 60 days because I'm looking forward to seeing this close for a lot of reasons within how it benefits the city of Pembroke Pines. So I ask that we please do everything possible, make it a top priority. We have a lot of priorities in the administration, but a top priority so that we could close this and determine the path forward, whether the sale goes through or not.
I have to tell you, I agree, and I'm hopeful that the deal can go through. If it doesn't go through, I think going to bid is the next step.
Mayor, I have a question for the
I
city
wouldn't
attorney.
be interested in a different offer. I would be interested at that point in going to bid. Commissioner Schwartz, final comment?
City Attorney, 4/5 to sell, is it 3/5 or 4/5 for this ordinance extension to pass?
If I may respond, Mayor?
Yes.
There's both a first and second reading this evening of the ordinance to be able to continue the contract as is. The actual transaction would require a 4/5 vote.
Okay, so, Mayor.
So this is just a majority vote, what we're doing tonight?
Well,
No,
you're
4/5.
reading first and second this evening, so the second vote would require a 4/5 vote.
So,
Under the charter.
City Attorney, if I'm hearing you correctly, majority vote on first reading, but 4/5 on second.
Because if I may, Mr. Mayor, because it is a sale of an interest in real property, and to that extent, it requires a 4/5 vote under the charter.
But we're not selling anything tonight, are we?
We're on extended.
You are not, you're simply extending the issue.
I'm getting confused. The item before us is an extension to the contract.
Correct.
That's a simple majority, correct?
To the extent that that is the only focus of what this extension does, that is a correct statement. If that needs to be corrected or clarified, the ultimate transaction would require a 4/5 vote.
But that's not before us tonight.
Not tonight. Before you,
Right,
it's only
and
only the
so-
extension.
So to answer the commissioner's question, we need a majority vote to move it on tonight. But if there is a transaction, it will require a 4/5 vote.
Any future vote would require a 4/5 vote
Okay, so-
substantively to close the deal.
So
Correct.
item 12 is also majority tonight.
May I respond, Mayor?
Yes.
Yes, the answer
Okay.
is
I
still
just
yes.
want to make sure because, and I respect Vice Mayor Good's due diligence and focus on the item, okay? So I expressed my concerns, okay? But I also don't have the ability to talk to my colleagues in advance and hear their thoughts, okay? I spoke to the city attorney, I spoke to the city manager, and I spoke to Mr. White. A special session is not the housing authority. That's an agency that is a direct appointment. So Mr. Dodge, since the second extension, because this has not changed anything, have you had any conversations, city attorney, have you had any conversations with the agency during this active Second Amendment within the last 45 days with the folks in Tallahassee? And if so, what kind of progress has been made and what would be done differently during the Third Amendment?
I'll be happy to respond if I can, Mayor.
Please.
To answer the question, I have not had any direct conversation during the last extension period with the folks in Tallahassee. Prior to that time, and independently of the relationship between the city as the sub-landlord and the tenant as the sub-subtenant, we did have conversations with the Florida Housing Finance Corporation, with their general counsel and executive director at that time, and exposed them to some of the questions that were asked by the city commission. But that was before the last extension period, and Mr. White's aware of that because he was made privy to that discussion we had in Tallahassee, which he and his folks followed up on as well.
And Mr. Dodge, have you had any interaction outside of the city attorney's?
All of my conversations has been in communication with the city attorney and his communication with the state agencies.
Okay, so now with that being out on the table, Vice Mayor Good, it doesn't sound like the call's been made to Tallahassee.
I think the city attorney has told you that he's spoken with the Housing Finance Agency, which is located in Tallahassee.
During the first session, not the second.
Commissioner,
That's what I heard.
This,
That's all.
this item has nothing to do with that. This is simply an extension so that we can work on the matter further. That's all this is. Okay, is there anything further? Okay, also, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Rodriguez?
Yes.
Commissioner Hernandez?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good?
No.
Mayor Castillo?
Yes, and by your vote, the extension is granted, and we should make some plans to fly to Tallahassee together with you, sir, and fight for this
Mr.
contract.
Mayor, we have to
Yes.
still read the second reading this evening.
Yes, that's the next one. The next one, City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. With your permission, item number 12 is the second reading this evening, given the nature and the expediency of time. This is a motion to pass proposed ordinance number 2025-02 on second and final reading. A public hearing is also available and has been posted as such, Mr. Mayor. This is proposed ordinance number 2025-02. Is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pembroke Pines, Florida, approving and authorizing the proper city officials to execute the third amendment to the agreement to enter into a sub-sublease with H.G. Pines LLC, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for an effective date, and a public hearing to adopt this item on second and final reading under item number 12. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion on item 12?
I'll move it, Mayor.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rodriguez. Any further discussion?
Public hearing also, Mr. Mayor.
Madam Clerk, any from the public? Seeing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hernandez?
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good?
No.
Mayor Castillo?
Yes, by your vote, this item is adopted, and now we can.
And for the record, Mayor and
begin
Commission,
plans
the
to-
ordinance is number 2041-2041, which provides for the 60-day extension only, the due diligence period under the terms of the original agreement.
And we should begin to make plans shortly to visit Tallahassee and see what we can do.
Sure, thank you.
To help make this thing happen. It's an important thing so that we can get some funds. It's not going to be enough to do the work that we need to do for workforce housing in the city. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Resolutions.
Mayor, if I may?
Yes, go right ahead.
Item number 13 for the record is a motion to adopt proposed resolution number 2025-R-02. For the record, it's proposed resolution number 2025-R-02. is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pembroke Pines, Florida, authorizing and directing the signing and submission of a grant application and supporting documents and assurances to the Florida Department of Transportation, better known as the FDOT, and the acceptance of a grant award from the FDOT and the purchase of vehicles and equipment and expenditures of grant funds, directing the appropriate city officials to take any and all action necessary to effectuate the intent of the resolution, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Item number 13 on the floor for consideration. Number 13. Thank you, Mayor.
Moved by the Vice Mayor. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Rodriguez. Any discussion on this item? Any from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Show passes
For the
unanimously.
record, Mayor and Commission, the permanent number for those who need to know is number 3893 for the record. Thank you, Mayor.
I see no items on regular agenda. Commission items 14. Commissioner Schwartz, you're recognized.
Mayor, did you want to do the reports of
I
this
will do
evening?
those after.
Okay. Discussion possible action to repeal enactment number 3322, naming Field 7 at Flamingo Park. Sheriff Nick Navarro Field in support of Broward State Attorney Harold Pryor and those who were wrongfully convicted in the state of Florida due to actions taken inside BSO while Nick Navarro was sheriff. There's a media release on the State Attorney Pryor's website, which I'm going to read into the record, dated December 6, 2024. If you think you or a family member may have been affected, you can email the office, case review at browardsao.com, or call 954-831-6543. More than 30 years, this is from Harold Pryor's office, more than 30 years after the Florida Supreme Court ruled that crack cocaine manufactured by law enforcement in the late 1980s and early 1990s could not be used in reverse sting arrests. Prosecutors are taking action to clear the records of anyone whose arrest was linked to the manufactured evidence, Broward State Attorney Harold Pryor announced on Friday. During a routine review of public documents in our archives section, Broward prosecutors realized that hundreds of individuals arrested and charged in those stings may have criminal arrests and convictions on their records. Quote, "It's never too late to do the right thing," end quote, State Attorney Harold Pryor said. Quote, "The methods used by law enforcement and society to combat drug dealing in our community have evolved since that era. These records may be a dim memory or an unfortunate part of history to many, but they have had a long-lasting and severe impact on the lives of the people who were arrested, as well as their families and the wider community," end quote. On Thursday, Pryor wrote to Broward Sheriff Gregory Toney notifying him of the prosecution's decision to begin taking court action to vacate or remove the judgments and sentences of individuals who were arrested and convicted of purchasing crack cocaine that was manufactured by some at the agency and used in reverse stings orchestrated by BSO between 1988 and 1990. Broward prosecutors also prosecuted those cases at the time. Quote, "The matters that were well before our tenures. However, I am of the opinion that the state has an ethical duty and obligation to correct this injustice before destruction of old records is initiated," end quote, State Attorney Pryor wrote in the letter to Sheriff Toney. Sheriff Toney immediately contacted State Attorney Pryor and said he agreed it's the right thing to do and he supports the project. In 1993, the Florida Supreme Court ruled that the state of Florida versus Leon Williams, 623 Southern District Court 462, that state law enforcement's conduct to illegally manufacture crack cocaine was so outrageous that it violated the due process of the Florida Constitution. The scandal was widely reported in local media at the time and led to several lawsuits. Recently, State Attorney's Office staff members were reviewing public records that have been kept for longer than the agency's public records retention schedule requires. Those records were under consideration to be destroyed in compliance with law. There was no indication in the records that many of those cases were ever formally vacated. That means that could be ongoing repercussions for those individuals in terms of criminal records, getting employment, housing, etc. At least some of the charges filed were first-degree felonies involving arrest of individuals within 1,000 feet of a school. This offense carried a mandatory minimum 3-year prison term sentence at the time. The process of reviewing the paper files will take considerable amount of time. Some estimates may be as many as 2,600 cases. Prosecutors and staff will work to determine individuals' eligibility to seal or expunge those records. It goes on to, again, provide the information of how those who may have been affected can reach out to the State Attorney's Office for assistance. In light of the findings of the State Attorney Harold Pryor, in support of Sheriff Toney's support of Harold Pryor's actions, and to respect the community at large, it is my motion to remove Sheriff Nick Navarro from Field 7 at Flamingo Lakes Park.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Rodriguez. Discussion. I intend to vote to keep the name the same, and I'll tell you why. We don't know, Sheriff Navarro has passed away a long time ago, and he was the first elected Hispanic American countywide in Broward County. He was a highly decorated and respected law enforcement officer at both the local and federal levels. I don't know how it is that this issue came to pass. I don't know what advice he was given. We're talking about a matter that happened a long, long time ago. But when you name a ball field, you name that field on the basis of a person's totality of work. We have the Jefferson Memorial that was named after one of our greatest presidents, who happened to be a slave owner, whose only living descendants today are black because he had well, for reasons we understand. And we don't remove people's names based on a particular thing that may have come up. For all we know, he was told that it was perfectly legal. We just don't know. We'll never know. All we know is this issue has come up now. They're dealing with it now. But Nick Navarro, during the time that he was sheriff, during those cocaine cowboy days of South Florida, took a lot of bad people off the streets, particularly around schools. And I'm proud that the city has a field named in his honor. He has family in the community that is proud of his service. And I see I see no connection between that matter and a ball field. So I see no reason to remove the name.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
If I may. Yeah, I just, this is sort of a sensitive subject to me, and I'm just going to make it clear. I do not support any action on an accusation made against someone who is not afforded due process in the face of political gains, and that's the way I see this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor, any from the public? No? Okay. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? No. No. Okay, the motion fails. Item number 15, Commissioner Schwartz.
Discussion possible action to require the City Commission to approve all education and financial requests related to the March 11, 2025 election prior to being posted, published, printed, procured, and or presented at town halls by the city administration. Colleagues, we have a very serious matter that requires a well thought out and agreed upon message of education. We have a colleague of ours who has spent a career in communication, Commissioner Hernandez. For the last 6-7 months, we have heard the need to make sure that everyone is on the same page with the same set of facts. It would be unfair for this commission to place the burden of getting it all correct on any member of the city administration. So I am willing to hold as many special meetings as possible with the 40-hour rule and placing things in draft, but for us to approve all the information going out to the public. And that would be, I want to make sure that, that we get this right. So my motion would be to require the City Commission to approve all education and financial requests related to the March 11, 2025 election prior to being posted, published, printed, procured, or presented at town halls by the city administration and include all facts. That is my motion.
Is there a second to that motion? That motion dies for lack of a second. The league reports.
Yes, Mayor. For the Broward League, the league had the OIG make a wonderful presentation. You should have received an email from the league. If you need any of your hours for the year, please get with Selly, get RSVP'd because space is limited. I believe our own city attorney will be participating in at least part of that presentation in the upcoming weeks ahead. And of course, we have the general meeting coming up as well. The league canceled December. We were going to be hosting that. So it's my hope that we're able to bring it back to Pembroke Pines before the April installation.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Rodriguez?
Nothing from the National League.
Okay. Mr. Manager, anything
Mr. Mayor,
more?
if I may?
Yes, sir.
No items, Mayor.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Sort of in line, I just wanted to announce that at the MPO, my colleagues on the MPO board did elect me as a at-large executive board member. So
All right.
just want you to know.
Good for you. Congratulations. Without objection, Vice Mayor, would you mind if we added an MPO opportunity to report out on the agenda? Sure. Can we do that? I'm not seeing an objection. Can we add an MPO opportunity for our MPO member to report out any major issues onto the agenda henceforth? Thank you very, very much. Mr. Dodge, is there any other business before the commission?
No, Commissioner.
Okay.
Mayor, I do. if you
Yes,
wouldn't
sir.
mind. Thank you, appreciate it. Several things, just for the record. Number one, the city of Pembroke Pines is a defendant in several memorial healthcare system litigation matters, which we've discussed both publicly and privately. Given a recent discussion with the acting CEO and president of Memorial, along with their acting general counsel, with Mayor Castillo, Mr. Dodge, myself, and Mike Cirillo, my law partner, a framework was established for the purposes of resolving and dismissing all pending litigation against the city of Pembroke Pines, as well as litigation which would incur responsibility with HCA for the site plan which the city commission approved in June, almost 2 years ago, and the city's approval of the MXD zoning modification, which occurred about 6 or 9 months ago. To the extent that I announce it now, only because of the fact that between now and the first meeting in February, it is expected that we'll bring back to you 2 settlement documents which will resolve each of the lawsuits, which includes basically 4 lawsuits, 2 of which are cert actions to the circuit court, both of which went to the 4th District, as well as a Chapter 163 comprehensive plan challenge as well. I appeared in court this morning on behalf of the city before Judge Howery and advised him, given the nature of the item, that whatever trial was going to be scheduled in any of the pending matters, that I would bring back to him and advise him by next month that the city hopefully would be able to accept and resolve the matters completely, totally, with full releases on both ends for all parties concerned.
Mr. City Attorney, I want to thank you and Mike Cirillo for your work. We indeed had a meeting with the interim CEO for Memorial. They had not been very well briefed by their own lawyer on this, nor had their board, as far as I can see. Both of us felt a great state of chagrin that the 2 partners, as closely allied historically as the city of Pembroke Pines and the Memorial Hospital System, would ever be in a litigious character. I just want to thank you, and I want to thank their counsel for finding a way to bring this unfortunate situation to close with a settlement and reopen the good nature and cooperation and fondness.
May I ask a quick question?
That the city has had with the hospital system. Commissioner Hernandez.
And I know you may have said this, but I didn't catch it. I know it's not, your feet aren't in cement here, but settlement expectation timeline.
Be happy to. May I respond quickly, Mayor?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner, good question. The end result is that there are 4 pending lawsuits. We have been successful in most of what's been happening thus far. To the extent that the lawyers involved, and there are several, both for HCA and for Baptist, which are involved with the MXD zoning, as well as the folks from Memorial, we expect to bring back to you by the first meeting in February 2 settlement documents that will essentially dismiss the lawsuits filed by Memorial against the city. Each party will bear their own costs, fees, and expenses, by the way, for which there's no basis for fees either way. The end result of which is that each party shakes hands at the appropriate moment, at least euphemistically, and everybody starts from square one without anything pending of any kind. No special benefits except to the extent of being benefited by the settlement for all affected parties, which means that the HCA site plan is legally in effect. They could come in and apply for building permits, et cetera. And the MXD zoning category would be in existence for Baptist to apply appropriately. No codes, no city codes, no comprehensive plan, no plat, no site plan issues are waived or compromised by the settlement. And any party that would otherwise seek to come before the commission for any particular future land use approval would have to go through the process. Nothing is being given. There are no extra benefits, no quarters being given for that purpose. So the end result is that everyone gets to shake hands and walk away.
I thank you, Mr. City Attorney, but also to your partner, Mike, and others who have briefed me on this and other legal matters, so thank you.
My pleasure. Mayor, just two more quick items, if I may.
Yes, please.
As you know, the Ackerman Law Firm represents this city with regard to our Hollywood case. Parenthetically, we will be filing briefs in the Hollywood case at the end of this month, and we'll share with you both the city's briefs and those filed by the City of Hollywood. It'll be an interesting read at best, and to the extent possible, we'll brief you privately, and to the extent necessary, have a shade meeting, but not at the moment. Having said that, in the existing retainer relationship with Ackerman, there is a waiver provision for members of that law firm representing clients in the city of Pembroke Pines, so long as those conflicts are not otherwise adverse to the city or for which litigation could ensue. There's apparently a lawyer from the Ackerman firm that's currently handling a Board of Adjustment matter. We reviewed their fee engagement relationship. My view is that the city attorney has no legal or ethical ability to waive conflicts, but the commission is. For Commissioner Rodriguez and for Commissioner Hernandez, the theory of how that works is you own that conflict, although there really is none legally or ethically, but as if and when there were to hypothetically be one, Ackerman could not represent their folks before the Board of Adjustment. So by appropriate motion this evening, if you can authorize that issue to be on the record, we then advise Ackerman that they can proceed.
Do we have a motion? Motion made by the Vice Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Any from the public? Hearing none. Mr. City Attorney, you satisfied?
Absent objection, with a vote, the answer is yes. I'll let Cindy Aquadera know.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Thank you,
Show
Mayor and
passes
Commissioner.
unanimously.
And we will be sharing those briefs with you shortly. The cities are due at the end of this month. And without getting into great detail on the public record, you'll read them and we'll confer with you privately and as needed publicly. But thank you for listening very,
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank
Mr.
you, Mayor.
Manager, is there anything else?
No, Mayor.
Anything else from the dais? This meeting is adjourned.